Uh, so welcome, nice to see you all. This is our November gathering. I want to propose to just have a bit of a free flow discussion. I have a couple of slides. I want to address one topic and get your views. But before that, maybe we can say a bit what you have been seeing in the last month or so on any trends. Have you seen anything different since the last meeting on strategy, on implementation, on transformation, from your own perspective in your own work with your own clients? Just to start with a small update from each of you, and maybe you can also introduce, I think some of you know each other, but also where you're calling from, where you're working, and let's do a small intro now that we have a smaller team. So let me start with Anita first.
Okay. Yes, I scheduled previously my exam for Sunday.
Wow.
So that I'm going to be interrupted. The test exam was difficult because I really studied in depth, but I only had I think 54 answers. So I'm going to retake the exam and do a screenshot to see where I'm really lying wrong. So this is so hopefully on Sunday I can call myself strategy implementation professional.
Oh, Anita, did you take the test exam, the mock?
Yes. I
Okay.
had 54 points. So I was a bit disappointed because I really studied a lot. And now I'm going just to do it again and make a screenshot of the answers so that I can compare and see where I still need to do a deep dive.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's logical questions, which is really good, but I immediately get insecure.
Yeah.
And
Of
I
course.
know I'm a bit a hard learner, so this is my disability. I know a lot, but I'm not I don't have a good hand for such exams.
Yeah, we're not used to exams anymore anyway, but you should focus when you're reading, for example, the material or the sidebook. It's often the questions come from Robin and my material, which are the slides, the slides and the articles.
Yeah, the articles I haven't checked because they say I should focus on a book.
Yeah, and so we're not testing what Rita McGrath is saying, or so it's only what Robin and I are talking about.
Yeah, and of course also try to get a job in the field of strategy implementation. So that the point is there are not many vacancies here in Austria.
Strategy implementation is not a role yet recognized. I think the closest that
Yes,
you get is transformation officer,
yes.
transformation lead, I think at that level, or strategy.
Mm.
Some roles that require implementation in the strategy function, but yeah, it's not yet there as a kind of normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that digitalization and strategy implementation is still separated. It's not, it's one thing goes into the other, and they still keep a strategy as one thing and digital implementation as something different.
Yeah. Thank you, Anita. And let me go now to Roger. Hey,
Yes.
Antoine, good to see you. We're doing just a small tour de table to start when on
Ah,
link.
bon. Okay. Yeah, so just to pick up on a point you were just mentioning there, one of the other key roles that we find nowadays is very much focused on strategy implementation is chief of staff.
Chief of staff, that's a good
Chief
point.
as chief of staff. That's a really popular sort of entry point for us with clients now. So the biggest sort of experience, most significant experience of the past month has been a week I spent in Nice with a client there, doing basically all the work we've been putting together, we've been building for the past 18 months, came to a head that week because we were putting in front of the chief executive and the rest of the C-suite, the strategic OKRs that had been developed, and also the whole of the governance framework and the implementation plan, and so on and so forth. So I'm really pleased to say that the response from the CEO was, "You've come a lot further and a lot faster than I thought you would."
Wow.
So,
Nice.
so yeah, no. He said, knowing the organization as I do. So, yeah. So I think the main observations for me from that, well, from the from the whole experience really, is in corporate. Well, certainly in this corporate, they have really needed their hand holding every single step of the way. Whereas when we work with our clients that are perhaps more at the small to medium size end of the spectrum, so that's still the founder led businesses of a couple of hundred staff, they seem to be able to work a lot more out for themselves. So the level of detail that we have to capture, and the level of detailed guidance and spoon feeding that we're having to give to them is quite significant. But we're getting there. It's fine. And in terms of trends, I mean, I'd say the biggest thing has been that they've wanted to pilot it. This they still think as a pilot, even though they're 18 months in, they're still regarding this as a pilot. And I think it's kind of like, yeah, we're still not completely committed to it. I mean, they've spent a fortune on it already, but they're still saying, "Oh, we reserve the right to roll it back if we feel that we need to." But everything's looking good so far, thankfully.
That's good to hear. Nice. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Roger. Let me go to Ignatius. Where are you based? What are you working on? Any things that you see on strategy lately? Ignatius? Oh, okay. So there might be some technical issues there. Okay. We'll see if he managed to solve it. Philemon, now to you.
Hello, am I audible?
Oh, Ignatius, go ahead. Sorry, Philemon. You managed.
Hi, how are you?
We're good, thank you. Good to see you.
I'm based in Botswana.
Yeah.
In a small village called Maun.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah. To be honest with you, the past month has been hectic. Actually, I'm in the public sector.
Okay.
I'm working as a mathematics teacher in the government. In the past month, we've been running around preparing for the national elections in Botswana.
Oh.
And I was very much part of the committee that was running the national elections.
Oof.
So we just completed, I think, on Friday, ushered in a new government. And to be honest, I'm trying to now focus on this strategy implementation policy course. I haven't done much, but the only experience I'm having over this subject is that with us, it's a top-down kind of approach in terms of strategy development. It all comes down from the ministry headquarters and to us in schools. And all we do basically is to cascade those priorities that we have been given. And that's the little experience that I'm having. But the challenge, therefore, becomes in us when we try to contextualize those priorities to our working environments. That is the main challenge that we are facing, because at times you find that the priorities that are written at the top there kind of they don't apply, let me say so, at the level of schools. And we are yet to come to a situation where we own these priorities. We come up with our own objectives. So basically, that's my small little experience that I'm having in strategy, and I'm willing to now double up my work from now until the 19th of December. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ignatius. And nice to have people from Botswana. It's very international, this group.
Thank you so much.
Philemon.
Yeah, but I think for me right now, I'm working for a new
Where are you
project to
calling
set
from?
up. Oh, I'm based in Singapore, Antonio.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm leading a project to set up a new office right now in Vietnam. So yeah, this is we are in a process like stakeholder management, value creations, employee engagement, and yeah, all this kind of stuff right now.
Very good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Chris from Bahrain.
Yeah, from Bahrain, as you say. And Ignatius, I know Maun well. I was doing baboon research in the Okavango many years ago. So, and a great spot and a lovely place to be.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
What's been on your radar?
Right now, I think the changes I'm seeing is a lot of emphasis on purpose and governance, with the idea of purpose within it. And why do organizations do what they do, and well-being and things like that. And that seems to definitely be now something where we need to focus on in strategy. And I know, Antonio, you have some of this focus, and we've seen it in projects. Perhaps we need to see more of it, and we need to see more governance in this respect as well, I think, built in. So I'm working on some of that. And then I'm working on putting together a major conference for the Middle East around purpose-driven organizations, and of course strategy implementation, project management, governance, etc. So I'll be talking to you more about that in the future.
Oh, very interesting. All what's purpose-driven. It's super interesting. Thank you.
Yeah.
And my friend Antoine, you must be happy with the Formula One.
It was about, let's put it this. So now let's start with something else. But I had like a whole list of things I wanted to say for you. First of all, congratulations, Mr. Founder.
Thank you.
I'm very happy for you that you took the jump and the plunge. Congratulations with Project & Co.
Yeah, thank you.
So that's a phone call and a coffee that you and I need to have here.
We need to.
I think what Max Verstappen has shown is that even under the worst conditions, and you have the right people around you in a project setup, you still can win races. So that's what he's done very well. So yeah, that is good. What's keeping me busy? For those who don't know me, I live in the UAE. I live in Dubai. I run a small little company as well. What I've done is I've transformed my PwC career into PwC is my client at the moment. So that was a very, very nice move. They immediately put a lot of work on me, so that's very nice. I am setting up, here it comes, Antonio, the first of 3 strategy implementation offices.
What?
For the upcoming, yes, 3. So I'm doing one for a NEOM change already that we're doing. So they want to change their strategy and they want to implement it. I'm doing one for a internal PwC project, which is basically the way they have all these various systems and they all kind of half work, and now they're creating this new version. And I am working for the Taka water solutioning company, basically the wastewater organization. And they are on a path of implementing a new digital journey, digital transformation. And I've been able to persuade them to say, okay, you have your technical board, but you need your strategic board as well, because technology is one, and the implementing your strategy is the other. I've been slapping them around with the course material, with Robin's book. I literally gifted the Robin's book to the CEO of TWS, and he called me back 4 days later. He said, "Man, I wish I've read this book 2 months ago." So good. So now you know exactly what I'm going to do. He says, if you do everything that's in that book, we're going to have a journey that we're going to have. So my world kind of changed completely.
Wow.
So that's good. It's going in the right direction, Antonio.
Congratulations. I know you've been working hard on making that space in the UAE, so you deserve that success. And if
Thank
you
you.
need people, experts, in this call, there's a few.
There's definitely no. So everybody just do reach out, because I can't eventually come to a point. I hope that I will be in the next call begging you guys to please help me out. If that happens, then we're doing the right thing, I guess.
Nice. I'm going to be going to Riyadh. So on my end, I'll share a bit. I left GSK, so I had a career almost 30 years, corporate, 10 years last in GSK doing 3 sustainability transformation. And I got an offer if I wanted to leave, and I said yes. I didn't think it twice. And I just focus on projects and projects and company. The idea has been, I want to replicate a bit of the McKinsey type of consulting, high level, highly paid, strategic, but around projects and transformation. And my plan, I don't want another job. Corporate, I don't want to be a subcontractor or contractor. I want to create a network of experts that we can go to Microsoft, we can go to companies like I work with L'Oreal, I work with Euronext, to say, listen, we can accelerate your transformation and we can do it cheaper than what it will cost you going with PwC. Sorry, Antoine, or KPMG.
No, it's correct. I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah, so you're doing the same. So that's the big news. There's a big forum next Sunday in Riyadh with the PIF. They have all the PMOs there, so I need to talk to
I know
you.
them.
I'll do a presentation to 300 PMOs there around, trending topics, the ones we're covering here. So yeah, lots of exciting times and moments. The other thing that I'm doing with my other partner, Ricardo Vargas, the AI project management is going very well. Also, we have 160 already, more than 160 people who have joined that certification. So yeah, things are looking good, but I really think that the network that we're building can offer something unique to corporates around the world, and that's where I want to focus.
Can I just pick up on something you said there, Antonio? You mentioned that obviously cheaper than the likes of PwC and so on. I mean, there's been a lot of headlines recently about EY, PwC, KPMG all laying off because they can see consultancy revenues really dropping. I'm just curious, is anybody kind of trying to put some messaging, marketing out around that to say, you can get the quality, but at a lower price point. It's different. It's different. So what we've done is that basically what PwC can't do is they can't disrupt their own market. So and here in the Middle East, it's kind of a disruptive strategy rule. You can't disrupt your own organization. So if you want to do something else, you need to either completely turn around your whole organization or start something anew. And they love and hate me at the same time, because in one end, PwC makes the most money here in the Middle East by running PMOs, TMOs, and EPS PMOs. That's literally where they make the money. And it's advisory work. And what we've been doing, we've been commoditizing it. With tooling, with AI in the background, with standardization. We literally, our sales pitch is, we'll hit the ground running. I hope you guys are actually ready, because we will be ready 1 hour after 9 o'clock when we start.
And they look at us going, really? Our first meeting at 10 o'clock is, let's talk about the plan that we want to execute. And they go like, yeah, but we don't have a plan. So you're not ready. We are. And that is the difference. PwC comes in, EY comes in, McKinsey comes in, and they take the first 10 weeks just to set up their PMO.
Yeah.
We do it in an hour, and they hate it.
But they
Yes,
also multi-layered.
Yes.
There's a huge management overhead. You've got to take the 2,000 plus a day consultants, and I think there's double booking as well. So yeah, that it was the management overhead that killed Deloitte. So
and the market is declining. So it's absolutely clear that the consulting, so the request for consulting was especially here in the Middle East. We see it already in oil and gas. The oil and gas is always the lead of these kind of dips. So they started reorganizing already 6 months ago. And then when that happens, I knew the consulting dip will come. So we had to make that change in order to not be depending on PwC and those kind of organizations anymore. So for us, it was like more of a risk mitigation than anything else. But yeah, I do agree, and I see what you guys are saying, that the consulting market is declining. So the big four are losing it a little bit, which means we will have a lot of waves coming into the market of people that basically need to pay their bills. So we need to take that our accounts. Our competition will go up because these guys will start dropping their prices in order to. So we can only win in this case on pure value. What is the value that we bring to these customers? And that is value in time, value in speed, knowledge, experience, and we bring certification with us. Yes, we are certified strategy implementers, and that is making a difference. It's the difference between a yes and a no from a client.
I would also add that maybe the very big companies have a certain kind of fixed frameworks, and they usually don't fit into individual company environment, and smaller ones are more able to customize and also can maybe act more freely in order to find individual solutions and also do a know-how transfer. Because usually if you have the big firms, well, I don't really talk of experience, but I know that they move in, impose something onto you and then go out and then leave the rest upon you. And I think
You'll be
need
surprised.
The
client. I am daring you be surprised. When I started working with PwC, and maybe I'm lifting the lid of the Pandora's box a little bit now, I was expecting exactly to see this. That there were frameworks, there were set positions and those kind of things. And what I saw is opportunism, short-term thinking, not thinking at all, advising something to a client that doesn't fit on the long term. Man, the first 2.5 years I've been fighting inside PwC, basically with everybody around me, not making myself the most popular guy in the world, but having a point. I had a point, and eventually luckily I had a few partners who saw that point, and then they started changing, but still, and then you're right, because they're big, they can't change as fast as you would as a young small organization. They can't. And for them, it's revenue is everything. Revenue and margin.
I think.
Well, I think. Sorry, I think you're right. I mean, my experience here in the Middle East as well as big consultants, especially McKinsey, for example. Is it they want to get in with the nice talk about frameworks and blah blah blah, but their real goal is to get a so-called implementation team that's in there as a permanent office, basically.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And once that's positioned, then they start pulling in. That's true.
And they don't want to get anything finished, because then they'll have to close that office.
Correct.
Right.
Let me share what I had prepared quickly, because it's, Antoine, you just it was the topic of the day, and it's the main. I'm doing a lot of publishing now, so my newsletter on projects and companies all around. I think I found out a new role that we need to do is slashing costs. So I never thought that as a PMO or as a strategy, my first priority will be slashing costs, which is normally one of the top priorities of leaders.
Yes.
So I created this company with the motto faster, higher, stronger. But basically, there's three things to the point that we're talking is, first, I don't think consultants are interested in accelerating. I'm talking about the big consulting, the big four, the three consulting, top three consulting strategies. So that's the one I'm targeting. And I don't think they're interested in acceleration. I've worked with ECG,
No, I completely agree.
L'Oreal is working,
Not
they
at all.
spend 10, 20 million per year. So when I talk about this, this is a pain point. This is absolutely a big pain point. Maybe top three pain points it's not about the execution, it's about reducing the cost. And the second point, so you see that there is link. I think a consultant will never say this transformation is a mess, stop it, right? And they should be doing that because transformation have to be stopped sometimes. But where you
This is a mess. We need more consultants.
That's a big issue. And I'm talking about this paradox, no? While consultants, the consulting industry of these big firms, they move from 200 billion to 300 billion in 10 years. There's no other industry that has grown so much.
True.
And in the past, you will hire consultants for helping you the transformation, and then they move on to something else. But transformation now is perpetual, so they stay forever. And this blocks another big point is the last one. Companies don't have transformation muscle. This is capability to transform. So they rely to these consultants, so they don't build that. This is another topic that really likes the companies I talk is you need to build transformation muscles within. Your people are being relaxed. They don't care about the transformation because everything is done by consultants. And so now this is kind of connecting very much. So I'm sharing this, but I know you're all doing a bit of consulting, but this is really where I'm focusing. My newsletter, next one is about how to cut your consulting cost by 50%. The way I work is I want a commission. Okay, if I save 10 million, give me 10%.
Now, only Antonio, if you call us again to do project remediation, because that's one of our core points as well. But
so I don't know what your thoughts. I'm doing polls in LinkedIn. My newsletter is around this, and I don't know if the big guys will like it, but I think there is a big issue or opportunity for us.
There is.
And like
Antonio, this last point on that slide there is absolutely resonant of my last month. Since I left the organization HS2, which I had spent 3 years building that muscle in order to do the strategy implementation. It was public sector, so it took a long time, and we were there, we were flying. I had a new director, my replacement, ignorant, I'm going to be rude here, and they've dismantled a whole lot of stuff. They've dismantled the governance and the performance measuring stuff, and most of my team are looking for jobs. It's that's the very upsetting part of my job. And this, some of it's HS2, a massive multi-billion pound project in the UK. So that's very sad. But on a more positive note, the board that I'm on is implementing a new strategy to diversify funding. It's a national body in Scotland, Volunteer Scotland, that relied on government funding, which is obviously reducing. So they want to diversify funding. So they've got the new strategy, and they're very interested. So and I've got an interview for a board position tomorrow.
Wow.
But we're not looking for these skills. They were looking for, networking, how to get more funding, all that sort of stuff that they always think they need. They do need it. But I put a pitch in saying, how about your backbone business architecture, your transformation, your strategy implementation? And I now have an interview. Now, it may go nowhere. They may still, want to work on their priorities that they've identified. But it was interesting that being able to make that pitch, I got that far. So I think in the, I don't know, maybe charity or the, not-for-profit sector, that they're understanding there's a gap, anecdotally, I don't know. But I just thought it was quite interesting.
Interesting. Yeah.
A positive and a negative month for me.
Thank you for sharing, Chris. You have your hand raised.
That's impressive. Good luck tomorrow.
Yeah, good luck.
Oh, thank you.
Keep us posted. That will be nice.
Well, I need to find some good Wi-Fi first. I found it in a coffee shop in the town.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just looking at that last slide, Antonio, and what Shona was saying, and I think points 2 and 3 that you have there are really very closely linked. So how do we reduce these consulting costs? Well, if you've got your own muscle, right, you don't need to have consultants and these resources to come in and do that.
Yeah.
And that's a virtuous circle, really.
That's not always true, to be very, at least that's what I tend to notice. I very recently remediated a hire to retire project for an organization to see if they actually have to find only that they only hired people to do a specific job, and they work them like robots. So what you have is like you have a numb organization. People are basically being numb for any change around it. They really don't know what to do. And that transformation muscle is
not building muscles. That's not building muscles. That's like hiring consultants, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
the same thing.
It's hiring robots, in my opinion, or blue collar workers. Almost the same kind of thing. If you find an idiot who can just whack a nail, then you're happy.
Yeah, you're not building the muscle, and you're not building the knowledge.
No.
Right. So you've got a temporary resource, and you lose everything when you let them go.
Correct.
Yeah, you don't go to the gym, so you send somebody else to the gym. That's what I was telling the other guy. Roger, you have your hand.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump on that third point as well, about building muscle. I think it comes from the fact that we were originally a coaching business, but we've always been believers in helping clients to build capability and for themselves, competency for themselves, which kind of chimes against the typical consulting business model. And arguably, it doesn't mean that it necessarily builds us up, a really strong recurring revenue stream, which has its challenges. However, where I do think it's definitely worked in our favor is that we, I think, cut through and stand out when we're being compared against competitors. Because when we do implementations of, for those of you that don't know the business, we focus predominantly on strategy execution through the implementation of objectives and key results. And all the systems and processes and structures and so on and so forth which go with those. And there is a huge part of it's not just about process, it's also about culture, it's also about individual skills in implementation, psychological safety, all those really, really important factors. So we have a third-party validated academy, which comes with quite a demanding qualification that they have to undertake if they're going to pass, and that I think gives us like that standout measure when we're being measured against or being judged against competitors at the point of where you're pitching. So yeah, I think it's worked well for us, even though, like I say, ultimately it kind of goes against the typical consulting business model of trying to build up revenue streams for as long as possible.
Correct.
Nice. Thank you, Roger. Anita.
Yes, coming back to your 3 points, I think the second one about reducing costs, I'm not sure if this is really the buzzword the companies still are attracted to, but if you just reduce costs, maybe you won't achieve the effect. Maybe I'm not sure if it's would be interesting to reframe it or rephrase it for increasing efficiency and effectivity, because usually this means go lean and just to squeeze, manage the value stream and only consider value-adding work, because reducing costs usually is connected, especially here in Central Europe, with layoffs. And I'm not sure if this really is helping the company forward. And the next thing is about the muscle. I would also say it means building up resilience. I do not have anything against consulting. Maybe it's just a bit negatively connoted. I would more see us not only as consultants, but also as coaches, because this is what you currently do. You help, you assist the company to build up the competencies, assist it with an outer view, and then help it to gain on strengths and support it in its goals. So maybe the term needs to change. Of course, coaching is a protected professional term, but anyway, this is what we're doing, not only advising, but also assisting and helping.
And depends on the client, of course, the organization. So some others have different priorities. So, but it has to be nuanced, of course. Yeah, for sure. And the other thing for me, the cost cutting is not just on consultant. My view is that companies have maybe twice as many projects as what they can execute. So one of the things that I do is I cut 50% of the projects. That's already a lot of savings and brings clarity. So it's not just about getting rid of some of the consultants, but also getting rid of many of the projects.
Absolutely, absolutely agree. Yeah, we implemented a infographic measurement tool that measured the prioritization, enabled prioritization of projects. And if they weren't in the top right-hand quadrant, then we stopped them. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Anita. Good points there, Chris.
Just confirming what Roger was saying, that we spent a long time, I spent a long time implementing things like balanced scorecard for strategy. And in that process, we get the client to do a lot of that work themselves, most of it. And we train them up to do that, and we coach them and sit through them. And that means, for example, that I can think of a big client where they had several hundred management teams that had to implement and cascade the scorecard down. But that meant that we could enable them to take their scorecard and their strategy implementation down to levels in the organization that no other the competitive consultants could do for that price, right? And that meant that we could get the business and others couldn't. And that added a lot of value for the client, which you can use to obviously as a reference to sell on to others. But yes, it produces the amount of income that you could ask for it.
Okay, yeah. Is there anything else? This was the main point I had in mind today, to have a bit of a brainstorm. This is a big topic, hot topic, interesting topic. Anything that you want to share around this, or something else? I really like the discussion so far. Super useful.
I think if you're looking at your reducing costs idea and talking about strategy implementation, but in projects, there's obviously a huge amount of cost wasted, and that is the heart of strategy implementation. At some point, these are projects, right? And if we keep on bringing in, especially major projects, that sort of double the budget, it doesn't help. So, and that means that there's projects you're going to not be able to fund, and that means value left on the table and opportunities lost. So I think there's a real need to start looking at the different ways that we run projects that help to actually reduce that cost. And there's lots of work, I mean, apart from things like critical chain project management, which really helps in that area, and integrated alliancing and things like that. But there's also a lot of more recent efforts to look at how to reduce those costs in terms of better estimation, but also better controls using AI and other and other factors.
Yeah. We'll see. I think let's see how things evolve here, but interesting views. Let's see. Let's do a final wrap up here. If there's anything else you want to cover, otherwise we can close it here and go back to work. Anything?
There is, there is, Antonio. There is one question I'd really like to ask, which is kind of tied in with this whole, proposition around, being a much better value, much more attractive proposition than the big three or the big four. I can see how this is easily done with a cost reduction project, but I'm just curious, what are the return on investment measures that people point to when they're trying to reinforce the value of the work that they can do for a client?
Shall I have a
You
go?
want to go first? Yeah.
Please do.
I would like to get so one trick that I learned from the Big Four, and I think why not, is if you start focusing on return on investment, I think you should more focus on what is the benefit that we're bringing and what the benefit that we're realizing for you. So if you can turn your discussion from return on investment to benefits creation, benefit control, and the what is it, and the value that comes along with that, then you steer away from the investment discussion.
Right. No, that's interesting.
Because the return on investment, listen, you can easily compare it. Huh? An average guy, and I think you and I are both of a series of a certain. Let's put it this way: we come from a world without Google, right? Easily, they charge us out for $3,500 a day. Easily, that's Big Four rates. If you start working on a smaller organization, if you say the return on investment, listen, you're going to say the investment that you do with us is based on focus on benefit and value, but your investment is way lower. So you have an easy cost reduction on your investment for an easy 25%, if they even want to talk money. But my steer is try to stay away from talking money as long as possible and focus on value, on benefit, on structured implementations. I think Robin's and Antonio's credo is, if you implement a poor strategy very well, you still do a great job, because then you see the strategy is shite.
I completely agree with you, Anton. We had 3 strategic objectives. This was public sector, so we had making life better for our customer in quotes, because they were reluctant customers, so whatever. So we had to make life better for them. We had to give it a good experience. Making life better for our staff, because we had 70 business critical spreadsheets when we started, and all that entailed, no data integration and so on, and value for money, because it was public sector. And every business case, which I mean in the round, not financial, but in the business case in the round, was judged against those 3 factors. I have to say, we did try to get Deloitte to put their own costs into business cases for the work they were doing. They did not like it one bit.
Wow.
No, they never like it. No, but they don't. Because then you find out another trick that they do. They charge $2,500 for consultants. What you get is a just graduated MBA master who has like 1-2 years experience, and like, what kind of what kind of experience do you really bring to the table? Have you ever been?
No, we were wise to that. It was very difficult.
Yeah,
very difficult.
If you want to have that discussion outside this forum, more than happy to do so. Huh?
Yes, I also wanted to add to Roger. Yes, the financials is okay, but what I learned in the course is really the great concept of the balanced scorecard. And there you have non-tangible measures, and they should always be value stream focused and value adding focused, and benefits and realizations, and also the outcomes, not only outputs, because outputs are artifacts and deliverables, but what are the outcomes? But even if you generate a break even or return on investment at a high rate, it doesn't say anything if you are successful, if your customers are happy, if you're delivering better products or have like a positive environmental impact, social measures, the GCSE measures, which are currently quite in discussions. So you should really do a broader view, because this is what makes you up as a company, not only the financial values. And I think you should really move away from this focus, because otherwise, even if your financials are doing great, you could disappear the next year because you completely miss the business. And Antoine, could you just please write me your email address in the chat? Just to get this. Oh,
I'll do something really. I'll do something really heavy here. Hold on, I got this little trick. I stole it gracefully from Antonio, and if that works,
what to do?
Can you guys scan this?
Yeah.
Wait.
No.
Wait.
Or else I'll just do this. Take it from here.
Yeah, wait.
Thank you.
Screenshot.
Yes, I'm doing. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good.
And
Thank you, everyone. That was really helpful.
Roger, one point, I think when I try to assess how consulting firms, the big ones, or companies value the added value from, it's hard to measure. I'm surprised, because we're spending 10 million, but what's the return? Can you measure it in a way? So, no, we're not able. So I think what Antoine is saying in the big focus that I've been pushing for a couple is focus on benefits. The benefits are different, depend to the stakeholders that you need. So set the benefits at the beginning of the project and measure them. And then you can already stand out and say, well, I'm delivering that kind of benefits versus, so make it visible. If you can, I always say, if you cannot measure, it's not a benefit. I'm sorry. You call it whatever you want. And consulting firms are really good about improving efficiency, reducing harmonization, and that's crap. That's all crap.
It is, Antonio, and don't underestimate the thing that these guys have. Huh? They have one thing that we as small organizations do not have yet, which is brand trust.
Of course, yeah.
And that is,
yeah.
They're selling trust, literally the exchangeability of people. Literally, somebody's failing in a project, no problem. Tomorrow there's another guy sitting. They just
inspired, yeah.
I think they're losing trust. I wouldn't go again. I that was the biggest contract I've ever managed, and I didn't trust them after month one, and I don't trust them.
I didn't trust them before I started working with them, and now I know I shouldn't trust them.
yeah, exactly. I was just thinking, sort of project management basics, isn't it? That the business case, which I always think is in the round, it's not financial, it's all the benefits and so on. Right. That is the why, right? That is the why. That's why you're doing it, and you have to measure it, and you have to reinforce it, and you have to communicate it, and you have to listen to people, and you have to keep talking about it so that people get the why. And if they don't know the why they're doing it, then they'll just run another way. They'll just go away.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Okay. So now we have a mission here, a new mission, together with the Strategy Implementation Institute. And no, I'm very excited. I really love the discussion, the alignment that we have in our thinking. I'll leave it here. I think it's a nice way to finish the call, and please connect between each other. Reach out to me if you have any ideas or thoughts. My goal is to create a network. So in my website, you can join, and there's a list already of experts like you across the world in South America, and so that we can offer like the top team, right? So I'm not sure we'll get any jobs, but at least the idea is to show that this is a very strong network, very much aligned on what we can deliver. So thank you for your time. It's always nice to see you. I like these small groups. We talk much more. And let's keep in touch, and then otherwise we'll see each other in December. Antoine will need to connect as well for the other stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Is Holt coming?
Thank you, Antonio.
Yeah. Take care.
Thanks,
Good.
thanks everyone. Thanks,
Thank you.
Antonio.
Really
Thank
nice.
you.
Take
Thanks,
care.
everyone.
Bye.
Stay well.
Bye bye, everyone.